I looked down at the necklace he gave me, and then saw the same one on her. My name is Claire Easton, and I used to believe in anniversaries. For me, every year of marriage was a victory, a moment to look back, to celebrate, to believe that love, even the quiet, sometimes boring kind one die, still meant something. So when our 10th anniversary came around, I was ready to mark it. With gratitude, with forgiveness for the years we struggled, with hope for the years ahead. My husband, Darren, had other plans. The night started like a dream. He came home early from work dressed in a crisp navy suit I hadn't seen in months. He held a wrapped box in one hand and a small cake box in the other. "Happy 10, sweetheart," he said, kissing my cheek. "This night is all about you." I remember thinking, finally. He sees me again. We'd been distant for a while, ever since his new job took over his nights, his weekends, his mood. But I chalked it up to stress, to life, to marriage. We sat down, had dinner, opened wine, then he handed me the box. Inside was a necklace, rose gold, delicate with a teardrop diamond at the center. Elegant, simple, stunning. I choked up a little. "Darren, it's beautiful. How did you know?" He smiled. "Let's just say I had help." At the time, I thought he meant the jeweler. It wasn't until the next weeks when I saw her wearing the exact same one that I realized what he really meant. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you what led up to that night. Because in hindsight, the signs were there. I just didn't want to see them. The week before our anniversary, Darren was acting odd, sneaky with his phone, overly cheerful, asking if I liked chocolate mousse, something I had never once ordered. At the time, I thought he's planning something sweet, maybe a surprise. I even told my sister, I think he's finally making time for us again. She gave me a look, the kind only sisters give to, and said, "Just make sure he's not planning something for someone else." I laughed it off. Darren wasn't perfect, but he wasn't a cheater, right? The morning after our anniversary, I noticed something strange. The cake box he'd brought home the night before. It had a sticker on the side with a name written in cursive, "Reserved for Lila." I blinked. Lila? I didn't know any Lila. I asked him about it casually that night. "Hey, funny thing. The cake box said something about Lila. Who's that?" Darren barely flinched. "Oh, probably the person who ordered ahead of me. I grabbed the wrong one maybe. Didn't notice." I smiled, but something inside me tightened. He wasn't the type to not notice a label. He noticed everything. Later that week, I wore the necklace to a friend's birthday party. Just a small gathering at a wine bar. That's where I saw her. She was across the room. Tall, red lipstick, laughing too loud. I didn't recognize her until she turned and I saw the necklace. The same one, same teardrop cut, same rose gold chain. My stomach dropped. I excused myself, pretending I needed the restroom, but I couldn't stop staring. What were the odds? I pulled my friend aside and asked, "Hey, who's the woman in the black dress?" She looked, then whispered, "That's Lila, Darren's assistant. She came late. Wasn't even sure she was going to show up." Lila, the cake box, the help with the necklace, the new name I'd never heard before. I got home that night and waited for Darren to fall asleep. Then I went through his laptop. He always said he had nothing to hide, and for years I believed him. But in his downloads folder, I found something I'll never forget. A folder called Anniversary Plans inside. A photo of the necklace, a message thread with Lila. This is perfect. Can you order it in her size? I trust your taste. And one more message that turned my blood cold. Should I get the cake too? Chocolate mousse was your favorite. Thought it might be fun. Her favorite, not mine. I shut the laptop, walked to the mirror, and stared at myself in that necklace. The one she chose. The one he let her choose. For me. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I smiled, because I realized if he thought I was going to cry quietly and walk away, he didn't know me at all. She chose the cake. She chose the necklace. She was living in the shadows of my marriage, and I had no idea. After I found the messages, I didn't sleep, not that night, not the one after. I kept playing them over in my head. Chocolate mousse was your favorite. Her favorite, not mine. Darren had used our anniversary as a stage to honor his mistress, and I'd sat there, smiling, like the fool he thought I was. But I wasn't just hurt, I was angry. And that anger had a plan. The first thing I did was back up everything. Screenshots, files, message threads, images, even browser history. I emailed it all to myself under a vague subject name, car manual, so he'd never suspect. Then I dug deeper. Darren's phone had a new passcode. That wasn't unusual, except he had always told me what it was. This time he hadn't. I watched him use it once while pretending to fluff a pillow. The code, L194. It took me a second, then it hit me. L. Tsaon Lila 1 January 9th. On her birthday, I checked her Facebook. 4 number of years she'd been at the company. My hands shook as I typed it in after he fell asleep. It opened instantly. His texts were mostly clean. He'd deleted everything sensitive. But in his notes app, I found something raw. A draft message that read, Claire suspects something. Lila, we need to be careful. Maybe we cancel the Napa trip for now. Napa? He told me he had a conference next weekend. I checked his email. There it was, a reservation at a resort in Napa Valley. 2 guests, spa package, wine tour, chocolate fondue welcome basket. I couldn't even cry. It was too insulting to cry. So I decided, if he wanted Napa, he was going to get it, but I would be there too. That week I met with Kelsey, Darren's executive assistant. She and I had always been cordial. I didn't tell her everything, just hinted. I want to surprise Darren for our anniversary part 2, I said. Can you help me with his schedule next weekend? I want to book something special. She smiled, then hesitated. Actually, I think he's already got something on his calendar, but it just says West Coast training. No details. She pulled it up. I saw the dates, same as the Napa trip. I leaned in. Can you send me the itinerary just so I don't double book? She nodded and printed it out. I now had the flight info, hotel address, car rental receipt. Even a dinner reservation confirmation for 2 at Van Verite. I booked a flight on the same airline. Different seat. Different time. And I packed a black wig, sunglasses, and a floral dress I knew Darren would never recognize. At the airport, I spotted them before they spotted me. Darren was walking slightly ahead, suitcase in one hand, phone in the other, and Lila? She was smiling, wearing white, and around her neck was my necklace. Or rather, her necklace, the one we both had. They boarded their flight. I waited, took the next one, and arrived at the resort 2 hours after them. I checked in under my maiden name, slipped the receptionist a note. I'm filming a surprise reality segment on a cheating husband. Please be discreet. The woman gave me a knowing smile. That night I followed them from a distance. They walked through the vineyard, held hands, laughed like newlyweds. My rage pulsed under the surface. But I didn't act. Not yet. Back in my room, I opened my laptop and typed one message. To my attorney, subject, divorce grounds and financial leverage. Then I scheduled it to send next Monday morning, after I did what I planned to do. Because tomorrow night, at their candlelit anniversary-style dinner for two, I was going to crash it with proof, with witnesses, and with something neither of them saw coming. They toasted to forever, while I watched from across the room holding the receipts for every lie. The next evening arrived faster than I expected. I sat in my hotel room staring at the outfit I'd chosen. It wasn't flashy, it wasn't seductive, it was simple, elegant, clean. A soft cream blouse, black heels, my wedding ring, and around my neck, the same necklace Lila had picked out for me. Only now it felt like armor. I knew exactly where they were dining, a private table at the resort's top restaurant, Vin Verité, known for its wine pairings and unforgettable views. Perfect for a romantic evening, perfect for revenge. I made my reservation under Ms. C. Holloway. I asked to be seated 2 tables behind theirs. I arrived 10 minutes before they did and ordered a glass of champagne. Then I waited. They walked in laughing. Lila wore a silver dress, hair pinned up, heels too tall for a vineyard. Darren had his arm around her waist, casual, confident, like a man who believed he had erased his past. They sat down. The server brought wine. Lila touched his hand and whispered something. He laughed. I watched for exactly 9 minutes. Then I stood up, took a slow breath, and walked toward their table. I didn't say a word, just stood in front of them until Lila noticed first. She blinked, then her face went pale. Darren turned mid-sentence and froze. "Claire," I smiled. "Hi, honey. I just wanted to say thank you for the necklace." I turned to Lila. "It looks better on you, I mean that." They were speechless. Other diners turned to watch. The server stood frozen near the wine cart. I pulled a folder from my purse and laid it on the table. Reservation receipts, message threads, a copy of the calendar event titled West Coast Training. "Want to see your hotel bill too?" Darren tried to speak. I cut him off. "I know everything. Napa, the cake, the necklace, the trip, and the mistress who's been planning your anniversary for months." Lila looked at Darren like he might save her. He didn't. He sat there, mouth open, guilt radiating off him like heat. Then I leaned in. "By the way, that necklace, paid for with our joint account, so technically I bought it, for both of us." That's when I pulled out the second folder. This one was thinner, but it hit harder. Inside was a document Darren had never expected me to see, a financial audit I had ordered a month earlier. See, Darren wasn't just a cheater, he was sloppy. And when I started sensing distance between us, I got cautious. I hired a financial advisor friend to review our joint assets, and what she found was disturbing. Withdrawals to unfamiliar vendors, hidden accounts, and a wire transfer made just weeks before for $25,000 to Lila Harper. I dropped the printout in front of her. "You really thought I wouldn't find it?" She stood up fast, her chair screeching back. "This is insane. She's stalking us." I turned to the crowd, raising my voice just enough. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the interruption. I'm just confronting my husband, and his mistress, who used our money to fund a secret getaway on our anniversary." Gasps, murmurs. A phone camera lifted. The server took a step back. Another table clapped, softly. Darren tried again. "Claire, please, can we talk? In private?" I nodded. Sure, let's go. I let him lead me out to the courtyard behind the restaurant. He was sweating. Listen, it was a mistake. I didn't mean for you to find out this way. You mean publicly? I said. After 10 years, you couldn't give me even a private betrayal? He reached for my hand. I pulled it back. Then I said, you won't have to worry about hiding anymore. I've already sent the documents to my lawyer. The divorce is being filed Monday morning, and every dollar you funneled to her, I'm freezing it right now. He blinked. You can't do that. I can. I already have. Because what Darren didn't know was that I'd been building this exit plan for months. The joint account? I'd already created legal alerts. The house? My name was first on the deed. A wedding gift from my father. The stock account? Under my maiden name. He had nothing to stand on. I walked away, back through the restaurant, back to my room, and the next morning, I boarded the earliest flight home, alone and free. The last time I saw them together, they were packing boxes from an apartment he could no longer afford. Paid for with money I froze. The moment I landed back home, I felt lighter. It wasn't just about being out of Napa. It was being out of his life, his lies, his manipulation, his fake anniversaries. The divorce lawyer, Ms. Brennan, was already in motion. She'd received all the files I'd sent, and by Monday afternoon she'd initiated the formal process. Everything I once feared losing, I now saw as freedom. The house, mine, inherited, paid off years ago by my father. Darren had no legal claim. The accounts, separated. I froze the joint assets until court review. The car, in my name. The business Darren tried to funnel money into. Turned out he didn't even legally register it. I shut it down with a single email. And Lila? She quit the firm 2 days after the Napa trip. Rumor was she didn't like being labeled the home wrecker with a matching necklace. A week later, I got an anonymous tip from one of Darren's old co-workers. Apparently, Lila had been engaged before Darren to a man she left for him. The man filed a harassment report after she tried to reach out again, claiming she made a mistake. Lila, it seemed, had a history, and Darren, he was just the next disaster on her list. Word spread fast. Our mutual friends and the ones who'd always posted power couple hashtags on our anniversary stopped tagging him. A few even reached out to me privately. We're so sorry, Claire. We had no idea. I always thought something was off between him and his assistant. I didn't reply to most of them because it didn't matter anymore. This wasn't about proving something to the world. It was about reclaiming my name. I sold Darren's old suits, donated the wine glasses he loved, painted over the wall where our anniversary photos used to hang. And I started something new. A blog, anonymous at first, now about quiet betrayal. Not the kind that explodes in a scandal, but the kind that erodes women in silence. The kind where perfect becomes poisonous. The blog went viral. Within a month, I had sponsors reaching out, TV producers requesting interviews, other women sharing stories in the comments. He let her pick my wedding anniversary gift too. He bought her the same shoes he bought me. She planned our vacation. I just showed up. I wasn't alone. 3 months later, Darren asked to meet. He was staying in a short-term rental. His accounts were still tied up in the divorce. I agreed, not to reconcile, but to close the loop. He looked thinner, unshaven, nervous. Claire, he started, I made a mistake. I should have been honest. I tilted my head. You had 10 years to be honest. You used all of them lying. He tried again. I just wanted something exciting, something new. I stood. Then start over, but not with me. I pulled a small black box from my purse, the necklace. I placed it on the table. Give this to her, or your next one. I don't care. I'm done carrying other women's choices. And I walked away. A year passed. The divorce was finalized. I kept everything, not out of greed, but because I built the life he tried to borrow. The blog became a full site, the second chapter. Women shared stories, shared tools, shared warnings, and I hosted monthly retreats, real ones, not fake Napa getaways. One evening, as I stood before a room full of women like me, I took a breath. This time last year, I was toasting to 10 years of lies. Now I'm toasting to the first year of truth. They clapped, and I felt whole. He gave me a necklace, but what I gave myself was the chance to never wear someone else's story again.